there is nothing on GST which has actually happened within the realms of the law as such. But the government is very actively looking at drafting out certain specific provisions which will ultimately result in some sort of taxability on the whole crypto ecosystem. But as far as I'll break my answers into a couple of parts, because at the point at which we are addressing this issue right now is from the employee's perspective, or say any service provider's perspective. So from an employee's perspective, to start with, this is a salary, okay? And luckily for employees as such, when you are receiving something as a crypto, as in lieu of salary, and you're not getting any money as such, salary per se received in the course of employment is excluded from the purview of GST under the GST law. There's a specific entry in the Schedule 3, which basically talks about the services which are rendered by an employee to the employer in the course or in relation to the employment that is outside the scope of the GST. Which means if anybody, say Christian, earns, say, salary from a company X and I get paid as crypto, I don't have any GST implications on me, because I am actually rendering services as an employee. And in the course of my employment, whatever I get paid for in lieu of the services I render as an employee, I don't have to pay any GST. However, now if I twist this argument to kind of cover service providers who are contractually providing any services. So say I'm providing consultancy services to any other company, and in lieu of that service, I get paid again as crypto or any other similar virtual digital asset. What happens then? Now, typically for a service, you have to look at the GST provisions. Consultancy services of most of the nature of activities. Suppose I'm a management consulting, I'm providing a financial advisory, etc. I am a tax expert, I'm providing tax advisory. All of the people who are already covered under the ambit of services under GST, and they cross their typical threshold, are liable to pay GST any which way, because what is taxable is the service. Now the value of service is already defined in terms of how you have to arrive at it. It is the value which is being agreed to be charged to the recipient of that service, and on that value you have to charge typically 18% GST. Now this activity which I'm doing is a supply of service. If that service is not exempted under the GST law and I have to charge GST at 18%, my liability is fixed. I have to pay 18% irrespective of what is the kind of consideration I'm getting. If I'm getting this consideration in form of crypto or any other similar virtual digital asset form, I still have to pay GST, because what I rendered is a service which is covered under GST. So for my liability to be assessed as a service provider, not an employee, I have to charge GST as per the law on the value of service which I provide. And the valuation ultimately will depend upon what is the value which has been agreed, say 2 Bitcoins or 1. That value will be ascertained at that point of time, on which 18% GST will get attracted as a consultancy fee, not as getting crypto and then getting into the angle of what happens to the crypto per se. This would be probably the liability which is fixed upon the service providers. However, on the people who are giving such crypto as assets, or to give that activity, I will take back arguments which Badri was raising. Any transfer of any such virtual digital asset, including crypto, has an implication separate of the implication on the recipient. So when I undertake a supply of crypto, I have to look at the law from my side as a supplier of crypto as well, whether it's a transfer, whether it's a sale, whether it's a gift, etc. All of these are covered as supplies under GST. So what we really need to test under GST is from both perspectives. I gave the perspective of the employee, I gave the perspective of the service provider. Service provider was taxable because he rendered a taxable service, whether he got the money in form of cash, or a bank transfer or a crypto transfer. His liability was fixed because he was already covered as a service provider under GST for a supply of service. But for the person who gave a crypto to kind of pay that amount, there is a supply happening from that side as well. While he may not be getting anything back, there is a supply happening from the person who's giving crypto. Now we have to test under GST whether that results in a supply in the today's definition of or coverage of supply, because supply gets taxed only if it is supply of goods or services. And today, crypto is neither defined as goods nor as services.